Hey guys, what's up? It's Brittany here, and we are live with Coffee with MP today with Miss Salma. Was it Rosby?
Yes.
I said it the right way. I just want to make sure I said that right. So we're going to be talking a lot today about Salma's journey with fitness and also her diagnosis with P.C.O.S. And I know there's a lot of ladies out there that struggle with P.C.O.S., that struggle with that diagnosis, that struggle to get healthy, to lose weight, to do all the things that they want to do and achieve their fitness goals overall. But P.C.O.S. kind of hinders you from doing that, I think. And I've recently learned a lot more about P.C.O.S. and kind of all of the things that it does. So again, we're live here, Coffee with MP, and we're just going to dive right into this. So Salma, why don't you first start off with just telling the audience a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to go into a few more questions.
Hi, my name is Salma. So I got diagnosed with P.C.O.S. around 18. But you notice the difference first when you turn 13 and all your friends hit puberty normal, they get their period, lasts a week, done every month. It's a cycle. With me, when I turned 13, I just spotted like for 2 days and that was it. And then there was nothing after that. And so, and then months after that, then I got like, okay, the full-blown period. And it lasted like 2 months long. So I kept continuously bleeding for 2 months. And then it would stop again for months and then come back. So maybe in the entire year, I would get my period maybe 3 or 4 times max. So, when you're young, you don't tell your parents much and at that age. And then and when I started to drive and then I started work, but at that time I didn't have insurance. I was still in college. And so I went to a OBGYN that she took people without insurance, and so I just paid out of pocket. And I gave her just the verbal symptoms, periods lasting this long and then not happening again for a long time and then lasting for so long. So she was just like, you have P.C.O.S. And I'm like, P.C.O.S, what's that? And she's like, oh, it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. I am almost 100% sure you have it. And so she was like, okay, since you haven't had your period in so long, just start taking these pills. So she prescribed me progesterone at that time. And she said, just take this for 7 days. I think maybe it was 10 days, 7 to 10 days. And so she said, once you take that, in 2 weeks, you'll get your period. So I was like, okay. I mean, that's what I did. I mean, she gave me a script for the progesterone. I filled it, I took it, and I would get my periods every so often, right? After taking the medication. So it was I think after, I got my nursing job, I had insurance, then I went and picked out the right OBGYN that I wanted, I chose, and, and she did the whole workup. She did the ultrasound. She did everything that, to give me a diagnosis of what I had. And then she did say I have P.C.O.S. And so, at that time, as soon as I hit 13, it was just I became fat and I was just hairy and it was just this is the time your kids are blooming, they say, and you look like crap. And so you're like, oh my God, what do you do? And so, and I'm from an Indian Asian background, and with parents, especially your mom, and actually it doesn't even really matter if you're Indian or Asian, but they're always like, you need to lose weight, Salma, you need to lose weight, you need to lose weight, and that's always in your head, and you're just like, I'm trying, but it's just not happening,
So I want to stop. I want to talk a little bit. I want to dive kind of a little bit deeper into P.C.O.S. So for those of you who aren't really sure what P.C.O.S. is, and I know there's a lot of people out there who get diagnosed with P.C.O.S. but nobody really tells them exactly what it is. So P.C.O.S. is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And what it is essentially is that your ovaries carry the lifetime supply of eggs that you will ever have, right, as a woman. And what happens is your brain, correct me if I'm wrong, your brain sends a hormone to your ovaries to start the process of actually growing the eggs on the follicles in your ovaries. And then a couple weeks later, your brain sends another hormone, which is LH, right?
Luteinizing hormone.
Yep, and that hormone comes in, and that essentially is the hormone that tells your ovaries to release the follicles, release the eggs, which is ovulation, typically in a woman. Now, when you have PCOS, there is an increase of that LH hormone, which means that sometimes your eggs won't mature and they won't, you won't ovulate, you won't release. And then sometimes if they don't release and they don't disappear, which they normally do in normal women, they can create cysts in your ovaries, correct?
Yes.
So also I read this recently that 70% of women who have PCOS are actually insulin resistant as well, which is where the weight gain comes in, right? That's the insulin resistance is really where the weight gain happens, because when your body creates insulin, your cells are the ones that kind of tell your pancreas to shut off and turn on, shut off and turn on. But the break in communication happens in your pancreas and your cells. When your cells aren't telling your pancreas to stop, then all of a sudden you've got all this sugar in your body, and your liver is essentially storing it as fat.
Yep.
So it just becomes very difficult to lose weight. So that's just a little background on PCOS. It is very difficult for women to lose weight because your cells don't digest the nutrients that you're eating. So all of a sudden, your cells are telling your brain that you're hungry, so you're always hungry.
Always.
You're eating more, and you're craving high-calorie foods because your cells, there's a miscommunication in your brain and your cells. So your brain is telling your body that you're hungry because of the break in communication. And also, because of this, I also learned that it can tell your body that not to expend energy, so you become very tired. You get very lethargic, you don't have a lot of energy, because your brain is also telling your body to slow down because you're not fueling it. So those are some of the things that you've probably really had to deal with and learn how to deal with at a very young age. With your diagnosis at a young age, and then also the other things that come with it, the hair growth and just the losing, the weight gain, and all of those things that come with it make it very difficult to be a young woman. So I want you to just talk a little bit about how that affected you really emotionally. You talked about your mom and how she was like, oh, you need to lose weight, you need to lose weight if you're ever going to get married. So talk to us a little bit about that emotional journey through finding a partner and then getting married and then having a child.
Yeah. So with me, my doctor first prescribed me on metformin to help me, she said, this will help regulate your insulin levels. This will help you lose the weight. And, I did take metformin twice a day, pretty much till I got pregnant. So with that, when you're single, you just, all you care about is what you look like on the exterior. So you all you see, oh my God, you're fat and you're hairy. So then I went through all the, the laser hair removals, which kind of worked, thankfully, miraculously. And then the laser hair removal, and then just taking the metformin to help me lose weight. And at that time, my mom ended up getting diagnosed with cancer. So for me, it was the stress. When I stress, I do not eat, and I lost a bulk of my weight because I was stressing out and just not eating. So, and I had dropped a good amount of weight. It's when you get married is when you're just like, oh my God, this is where the tests, the trials, the tears all come into play. Because now you realize, okay, PCOS, I have cysts, my eggs are not being released, I'm not ovulating, and I can't get pregnant.
Right.
So, trying for 2 years. Nothing. So I went back to my OB. I was like, I'm having a hard time getting pregnant. And, you've prescribed me the progesterone to get my period. I've done birth control for a while just to regulate. But it was making me emotionally very, moody and angry. And just anything was just making me cry. And I was just like, you know what? And I had stopped taking birth control. And, I was trying to get pregnant then for those 2 years. And nothing was happening. So then she prescribed, when I went back to my OB, she's like, here's this medication, it's called Clomid, and this will force your body to ovulate. But the thing is, you can't take this medication for a long time because it can affect your body, cancer-wise and stuff like that. So she doesn't recommend it taking it more than for 3 months. So she prescribed it. She's like, if this does not work after 3 months, I can't work with you. I have to send you to an infertility specialist. And I was like, oh my God, the fear, the sadness you feel, you're like, oh my God, infertility clinic, I'm going to be one of those women that has to go to a special doctor just to conceive. And so luckily for me, it was the third try with Clomid. So when I took that medication, it was just like, and when I saw that, that pregnant, oh my God, on the P.C.O.S, and you're like, yes, I know the relief you feel. Because, you want, women want children. You want a child for your spouse. It's just, you know,
as a woman, it's something you want. Right.
And so, and I know we both wanted it. So it was just like, and when you know you're the one that's at fault, that makes you feel like
even more responsible.
I know, even more like dig a hole in the ground and just hide in there, right?
So let's talk a little bit about, I think that that's important because as a woman, emotionally, you feel we're natural nurturers, right? We're natural nurturers. We're people who naturally want to be moms and nurture children, and we want to do those things. And when you find out at a very young age that it's going to be very difficult for you to go through that natural womanly process, it's hard, and you get really hard on yourself, right? You do, let's talk a little bit about now after you had your son, correct? How old is he now?
3. He's going to be 3 in May.
Going to be 3. Yes. So Salma came to us when he was not even 1 yet, which is crazy. So I want to talk a little bit about after your pregnancy, kind of your weight loss journey now, because you knew that this was going to be a trial and error thing for you. You knew this was going to be a difficult journey. So what made you decide, okay, now that I've really focused on having my child and doing that part of my life, now I want to figure out how to really maximize the weight loss part of this and really make it work. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So initially, you know, you've tried like those $20 gyms, you've tried running outside, you've tried gym equipment at home. I've tried everything. So, you know, it just happened, you know, I was surfing on Facebook and I came across Midwest Performance's ad. And so, you know, when I clicked on the link, all these pictures came up of people's before and after pictures. And so, you know, the people that still to this day stick to my mind head like are Rebecca, Idia, and Tiffany. And I saw their before after pictures and I was like, holy cow, these are like the real women. This is like a woman you might just meet on the street, and that's what these pictures looked like to me. And so I ended up scheduling something with Brittany, and I was, and that day she had me. I was like, because we talked earlier, and she was like, how much do you want to lose? What's your goal? I said, you know, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to get back to that pre-pregnancy weight. And after the baby, I went up to like 170, and you know, my clothes didn't fit, nothing was looking good, and you know, I had done like my braces were off, my hair was like receding because I was doing the laser hair removal, and I was like,
feel good about yourself.
Yes, exactly. And then, you know, my clothes didn't fit, and I was like,
now it's time to work on that.
Now it's time to work on that. So at that day, Brittany had me carry these 20-pound dumbbells, and she's like, she just had me walking. I didn't think twice about 20-pound dumbbells at that time. I was just walking with these dumbbells up and down the old studio. And she was just like, after I walked around, she was just like, you know, this is how much weight you want to lose. I said, really? I was like, that's a lot of weight. I'm like 20 pounds. That's like a huge number. So you have to pretty much take it like little at a time. And so most of my bulk weight I lost with, I did a first 6-week challenge and I did a second 6-week challenge. And so in that second one, I had lost like 13 pounds. And so, and I loved seeing that change. And this is the first gym I've ever stuck to. I'll be here about like 2 years.
Which is
in
crazy.
September. I know.
Which is crazy.
2 years, exactly. So, you know, this was the one place that I'm able to stick to because, you know, all I have to do is walk in, show up, have my like workout gear on, and that's it. And you know what? The other thing that drew me to MP was that it's an all-women's gym, and you know, I've worked out with a scarf on at different places, and you know, it does get hot under here, especially the neck area. So you know, the luxury of being able to work out without a scarf on is huge because there's not a lot of places that are all women and all women friendly that you can just work out without your scarf on. And so, you know, and the workouts get you your heart pumping, there's strength training, it's like a good variety, and you know, it's a different workout each day, and I love that. So you don't get tired of it.
Which is nice. And I think to kind of wrap that into the PCOS side of things is that I've also researched a lot lately that resistance training, weight training, and then HIIT interval training, which is a lot of what we do here, is actually really great for PCOS because naturally women with PCOS have a lower BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, which is the rate of calories that you burn during your day, right? So naturally women with PCOS have that is lowered because of all the miscommunication that's going on in your brain, because your brain doesn't want you to work that hard, your body doesn't want you to work that hard because you're not getting the calories. So you have to really increase your activity, you have to increase your heart rate, you have to increase your calorie burn outside of just what's going on in your body. And HIIT training and weight training does a really great job of that. So that's really the focus for women with PCOS, is increasing that BMR. And also, the more lean muscle that you have in your body, the higher your BMR is, because naturally your body will start to burn more calories when you have more muscle, right? So I think that's a lot of the reason why this has helped you so much, is because of the kind of activity that you do here with the diagnosis that you have. And the thing about it is, it's a diagnosis, but it's not your life. It doesn't define Salma and who you are and how hard you work when you're here. And I think that that's a testament to all the other ladies out there who do have this, that this diagnosis doesn't have to put a nail in your coffin. Like, there is a way to get around that, and HIIT training and interval training like we do here, or wherever you do it, is what you need to do, because this training also creates, it increases insulin sensitivity, which kind of reverses the effect of insulin resistance. So that in itself also helps with the PCOS and the losing weight. So, and you also do work with a dietitian too as well, to kind of help your nutrition and keep that on track as well, which I think is also another added benefit to the exercise and the nutrition. I think people with PCOS have to know, like, you might have to work a little bit harder at this.
You do have to work it, because you have to control that mouth.
Right.
No other.
And the cravings and the things like that you have to deal with, you have to just work a little bit harder, but it's about how bad you want to overcome the diagnosis, right? It's kind of an internal thing of knowing, like, if I want to beat this, like, I'm going to have to work extra hard.
It is a mindset.
Yeah, it is definitely mindset. So with that being said, Salma, I want you to, after we wrap things up here, I want you to give your best advice to the Salma sitting out there in the audience, pre-MP, pre-baby. Like, what would you tell those ladies who are struggling with this diagnosis, and what kind of advice would you give them?
Okay. First of all, you got to take it one day at a time. And the thing is, do not look at that scale. I mean, I still look at the scale, but like, don't let it like hinder your performance, because there are times, like, you know, when I haven't gotten my period, let's say for 2 or 3, like 2 months, let's say, when you don't get that period for 2 months, it's like that scale does not budge. And you know you're dieting, and you know you're exercising, and you know you're doing all these things. But you know that insulin resistance is playing a factor here, because, you know, I crave those foods, I crave it all. So so don't let that scale like stop you from eating healthy, because, you know, you might feel like, oh, the scale hasn't budged, nothing's happened. But you gotta think, okay, this insulin resistance is just you haven't gotten your period, your hormones are all out of whack. It's just, you gotta focus on eating healthy. You just gotta focus on that, because if you're not, then okay, if that scale is going up and up, you know you're doing something wrong.
So it's just slow and steady wins the race, kind of with this.
Slow and steady. I've been here 2 years, so, and I've lost good like 22 pounds here.
And it's been an up and down roller coaster for you, but I think it's a ebb and flow. It's a what works, what doesn't, trial and error, like what's going to work for me, what's not going to work for me. And I think just your advice there was just slow and steady, and like take it day by day, and give yourself an opportunity to stumble and fall along the way, but use it as kind of a learning experience. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comments wherever you guys are watching this, on whatever platform you're watching this on. And this is just a testament, ladies, to those of you who have that diagnosis with PCOS, that it doesn't have to be the end-all be-all of your life. That there are people out there, there are professionals out there, there are fitness studios like ours who are willing to help you, who have done the research, who know exactly what you need for that kind of a diagnosis and how you can kind of overcome that hump. So with that being said, anything else that you want to add, Salma, before we sign out?
Nothing really. I mean, as long as, you know, you get your workout and you eat right, things are possible. Right. It's always 80% nutrition, 20% working out. That's the mantra of MP. So as long as you follow that and you're able to control that mouth that just wants to keep eating. So as long as you control that, anything's possible.
Anything's possible. Perfect. Well, with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign out. It was a pleasure seeing all of you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next Saturday.